Welcome to my channel, The World of Science Fiction. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Asterisk. In the cold emptiness of a forgotten space outpost, drifting between dying stars, a young alien girl named Lyra lived a life no child should ever experience. Yet she never complained, never expected safety, and never hoped for comfort, because hope was something the universe had stolen from her long ago. Still, deep inside, a small flame of longing refused to die, a quiet wish she whispered only when she believed no one was listening. Lyra had survived the destruction of her homeworld, watched her parents vanish in flames during the Great Cosmic War, and since then she had moved from station to station like unwanted cargo, taken in by outposts that needed extra hands but never a child who needed love, leaving her to grow up alone in the shadows of dirty corridors, ignored by officers and workers who treated her as invisible. Every morning she woke in the tiny storage room she converted into a bed space cold, dim, and barely big enough for her to curl up. She cleaned the metal floors, repaired old pipes, carried tools twice her weight, and ate leftover food that others didn't want. No one asked her if she was tired. No one noticed when she limped. And no one cared that she sat alone on the observation deck at night, staring at the fading stars like they were her last friends. But Lyra's life changed the moment a human billionaire named Damon Cade, a man known across galaxies for being genius, ruthless, and emotionally frozen, accidentally heard her whispered wish through one of his surveillance satellites. Damon, a man who built an empire on logic and power, who treated emotions as weaknesses, found himself unable to move when her soft, trembling voice echoed through his office. This was not normal for him. He had survived betrayal, war, the loss of his own daughter, and the cold climb to the top of the human corporate world, teaching himself to avoid anything that stirred his heart, because he believed the heart was where destruction began. Yet the small alien girl's whisper cut through every wall he had built, reaching something inside him he believed long dead. He replayed her voice again and again, staring at the broken outpost she lived in, trying to understand why a child so small, so fragile, and so alone could shake him more than any war report ever had. Damon was a man used to fixing things, machines, companies, failing systems, yet he had never learned how to fix his guilt. But when he saw Lyra hiding her bruises, dragging heavy equipment, eating alone, and whispering her wish to stars that could not answer her, he realized he could not sit in his comfortable sky office while she survived a life no one should endure. So without informing his staff, security, or even the board members who feared his unpredictable decisions, he boarded one of his private starships and cut through deep space alone, driven not by business, but by something he did not yet understand, maybe. Responsibility, maybe destiny, or maybe the memory of his daughter, whose voice Lyra's whisper strangely echoed. Damon's ship sliced through worm streams and asteroid fields as he traveled toward the broken outpost, his mind filled with questions he was afraid to ask. Why did this girl matter to him? Why did her sadness feel familiar? And why did he feel drawn toward someone he had never met? When he finally arrived, the officers panicked as they saw the richest and most dangerous human in known space step out of his ship with no guards, no announcement, and no expression except a cold fire in his eyes. They tried to impress him, tried to guide him, tried to distract him, but Damon ignored every adult, brushing past them with the silent intensity of a man on a mission. He walked through the dim corridors until he heard small movements, soft metal clinks, gentle humming, and found Lyra on her toes, fixing a flickering lamp with oversized tools. Damon froze. After seeing her only through screens, seeing her in person felt like being punched in the chest. She was even smaller than he thought, her silver eyes too big and too tired for someone her age, her clothes old and torn, her tiny arms struggling with work meant for grown technicians. Lyra turned around slowly when she sensed someone behind. Her face filled with fear, confusion, and the automatic instinct to step back, because adults usually meant trouble, not kindness. Damon knelt so he wouldn't appear threatening, and for the first time in years, his voice softened without him trying. He told her he had heard her voice, that he had come because no child should have to whisper their pain to the stars. Lyra didn't understand. Why would someone like him care? Why would anyone travel light years for a girl who meant nothing to the world? She tried to hide her fear, her bruised hands, and her doubt, but Damon saw everything, and something protective surged inside him, something wild and dangerous and completely human. Over the next days, Damon stayed on the outpost, observing how Lyra lived, how she worked until her legs trembled, how she ate scraps, how other workers ignored her or talked down to her, how she never asked for help even when she clearly needed it. Slowly, Lyra began to trust him, speaking a little more each day, showing small smiles she didn't know she still had, feeling something warm she had forgotten existed: safety. Damon learned about her lost family, her fear of being abandoned again, her habit of hiding injuries, so she wouldn't bother anyone. And each new truth broke him a little more, not with weakness, but with a fierce desire to protect her. But danger came from those who disliked Damon's presence. Commander Rin, the outpost leader, feared that Damon would expose the station's corruption-stolen funds, poor child care, illegal labor, and blamed Lyra for attracting Damon's attention. One day Rin cornered her, shouting, accusing her of manipulating Damon for pity, his voice echoing through the corridor like thunder. Lyra froze, gripping her tools tightly, her body shaking, old fears rising. Damon arrived at that exact moment and saw everything. For the first time in a decade, Damon lost control not in violence, but in emotion. He stepped between Rin and Lyra with a fury so quiet it was terrifying. His voice, low and lethal, warned the commander to never speak to her again. Damon's authority shattered the outpost's cruelty like glass. After that, Damon took Lyra to the observation deck, the same place where she whispered her wish and told her something that changed her entire world. She deserved better. She deserved safety. She deserved love. And she deserved a family. Damon did not use the word dad at first. He didn't want to force a wish she whispered in pain. Instead, he asked her if she wanted to leave the outpost and come with him, not as a worker, not as a responsibility, but as someone he wanted to protect, guide, and care for. Lyra stared at him with wide, trembling eyes, her heart fighting. Between fear and hope, it felt impossible. It felt unreal. But Damon's eyes held no lies, no pity, just a quiet promise waiting to be accepted. Slowly, with shaking hands, Lyra reached forward and took his. Her voice cracked as she whispered, "Can I really have a family again?" Damon's reply was gentle, breaking, and full of truth. "Yes, Lyra. If you want it, you can have a father." And as his starship lifted her into a new future, the lonely outpost faded behind her like a nightmare finally ending. She was no longer a forgotten child, whispering wishes into darkness. She was a girl who had finally been heard. If you enjoyed this emotional HFY journey, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful sci-fi stories every week.